What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here to review the 1-0 loss against Manchester City last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But this stream is also sponsored by the Bottle Jobs from North London in Arsenal, bottling yet another title last night. So there's something that we can smile about here on a Thursday afternoon. But we've got a members chat here as well from Ryan Isaacs. It says, Bilbao, Tottenham are on their way to Bilbao.
Come on.
And
the belief is there.
Yeah, the belief is there. Absolutely. And yeah, let's just get straight into it, because I think that members chat actually significantly plays into probably what the team lineup was yesterday. Decky, Son, Spence all dropped to the bench, rested. You know, something that I've been calling for quite some time, particularly with Decky and Sonny. So I saw a few frustrated people on social media and in our chat saying, why is he resting these guys? Why have they dropped to the bench in such a big game against Man City? I mean, I find it very hard to criticise it when I've been calling for it for so long.
Yeah, and I think I understood the changes. I know we've got an 8-day break between this game and the RZ game, but I think he said before the Ipswich game, this was a good opportunity to give minute to give rest to the likes of Decky, Spence, and Porro, which and Sonny, as well, which obviously for the last 2.5 months he's really had little opportunity to do. So the fact that Decky played 90 against Ipswich means that he decided to rest him in this one against Man City. Some people say it should have been the other way around, but we also had to win that game against Ipswich as well. It wasn't any less important just because it was earlier. And you got to remember as well, people like Brennan, Udogie, were they ready to play more minutes in the Ipswich game than they were in this game? Maybe not. People like Udogie as well. So he took the decision to rest those players. And I think, you know, I don't think it's why the fact that we rested players is why we lost anyway. I think the team got better in the second half before the changes. I think it was more to do with how we kind of approached the game and the fact that we allowed Man City to win that midfield battle early doors, which really cost us in the opening exchanges of the game and led to us being 1-0 down. But in terms of just the changes in the lineup, I was excited to see Udogie from the start. I think, you know, Udogie and Porro, it's not like I know Spence has been great, don't get me wrong. This is not me saying that Spence is not our best fullback currently on form, but it's not like Porro and Udogie is leaving us under strength. You know what I mean? They're two very good fullbacks. Obviously Decky not playing wasn't great, but you still got Madison there. You've got who else playing well? Bergvall still playing well. Bentancur played well. So I looked at the team, the lineup. I didn't look at it thinking we got no chance today. I thought it was still a pretty good team, and that I think goes to how our strength is when we do have options, I think. And I think a lot of people have been bemoaning our lack of squad depth over the last 2.5 months. But I think any team is going to have a lack of squad depth, and then you've got 12 injuries. And I think, I'm looking at the team now, it does look fairly deep.
It's not what Pep Guardiola said about the squad depth.
He said we've
got the strongest squad depth.
Yeah, he loves glazing opposition, doesn't he? Though Pep, it's part of his MO. Yeah, it's part of his MO.
But yeah, I mean, the first half, it was just a bit of a shit show, really. It felt like sitting here watching it was a bit like men against boys. It
literally was. It was our second youngest ever lineup in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, just like they are Premier League players, and you'd expect them to put more of a fight up in that second half. And I thought Doku was getting all sorts of joy down their left-hand side, our right-hand side. I thought Pedro Porro was getting, you know, he was a bit out in the cold a little bit, because he was one-on-one against Doku every time. And Doku was just toying with him a little bit. And even when he wasn't one-on-one, he was caught up the pitch, and he had all the freedom of that area of the pitch. So, I mean, that was one area where they just kept continually just going at us time and time again. And you know what? It's not the first team and it's not the last team that's going to target that area of the pitch.
I think it's very similar to what I saw Man City do against Liverpool. The difference is against Liverpool is when Doku was getting past Trent. You know, they had Van Dijk there, they got Konate there, they had midfielders doing their job, getting and making sure that Doku wasn't able to create the chances he was. My point being, I don't exclusively blame Porro for what happened. I think it was, again, a couple of issues. I think obviously we were pressing as we usually do, and we were kind of building up from the back and trying to get forward and trying to put pressure on that Man City team. and Gonzalez and Kovacic were really doing some good work in the middle, and it led to lots and lots of turnovers in the middle of the park, and especially as well, the front line weren't keeping the ball too well. I thought Odegaard was getting out muscled a lot from Nunes. I thought Johnson was anonymous. Tell couldn't hold the ball up at all. So it led to lots and lots of turnovers from Man City in their favour, and I think they had a clear plan that as soon as they turn the ball over, you get the ball out wide to Doku as soon as possible. And if you do that, and if you're very direct with it, he's going to be in space, because if we're attacking Man City and we're flooding players forward, there will be space out wide, especially in that area when we know Porro likes to get forward. So they were very direct, and they were ruthlessly just going for Porro every single time, and it was. They were creating lots and lots of chances. We know Doku. Look, let's be honest. Doku's a fantastic dribbler. I think he's one of the best. We know he's one of the best dribblers in the league. It's no surprise that very good defenders have struggled against him, just containing him. The question with Doku is not whether he can beat you, it's whether he creates something after. That's usually the problem for Doku, and yesterday he definitely was able to do that. Obviously created the goal, and obviously created one for Savinho, created another one for Haaland as well, which Vicario had to save. So they were getting in down that side. It was hard to watch, for sure. But I don't think it was just down to Porro being out of position or anything. It was more down to how the team were losing kind of possession in dangerous areas, allowing Man City to be direct, and that led to basically Porro just being Doku being in acres of space more often than not.
It just felt like we just couldn't create anything in that first half. You know, I felt Odegaard. I as well was so excited to see Odegaard, but I was actually really disappointed with his first half display, because the one thing what you know with Odegaard, he's going to get the ball and he's going to attack his fullback, and I just felt like every time he got the ball, he just kind of checked back and checked inside and passed inside, and he wasn't kind of being ruthless like a Doku was, or like maybe he showed a few signs of it in the second half. But in the first half, he just didn't want to attack his fullback.
I think the big difference between Doku and Odegaard, from what I can see, is Doku's strength. Doku can outmuscle you as well. He can really go toe to toe in his upper body strength. He's not like, stronger than most other strikers, but when you compare him to other wingers, he has very good body strength. That was emblematic when he had that kind of one-on-one with Porro, and he just shoved him on the floor, and Porro fell over, because Doku is very, very strong. I think Odegaard is still quite lightweight. I think you can see that when he allows defenders to get too close to him, they can outmuscle him and make sure that he's not getting past them. I think Odegaard needs to create like that separation between him and his fullback to make sure he can make the most of his kind of very quick movement and flexibility, which I think we saw more in the second half. But in the first half, we didn't see a lot of it. I think Nunes was getting close to him, and I think every time Odegaard got the ball, he was just being outmuscled and he was being shackled. There was at one moment, though, right in the first minute, we thought him and Brennan were linking up. We're like, okay, maybe they're on it today. They didn't quite get the shot off for one reason or another when they had that opening. But I think, to be fair, at 19, well, I think Doku as well maybe was also maybe a bit lightweight, and I think he really worked on that upper body strength, which we see now, which is what got him that move to Man City. He became such a strong player. So I think it's something Odegaard has to kind of get used to. Is in the Premier League, you're going to get very strong defenders up against you, and you're going to have to deal with that. And I think he struggled in the first half. But second half, I thought he reacted a bit better to it.
Yeah, I mean, Doku at that age was playing for Belgium in an international tournament, wasn't he? And he was taking that, maybe not taking the tournament by storm, but like he was showing some really good attributes in that tournament where he's able to consistently attack that space and do really well for Belgium. But yeah, Odegaard, like I said, I do think he improved in the second half, and I felt when he got taken off, he was probably in his best moment in the game. Where
I agree.
He was really starting to shine, really. But yeah, I mean, 4 big chances for Man City in the first half, 0 for Spurs, and that kind of did tell the story of the first half, to be honest. We were very lucky to go in at half-time just being at 1-0. If that game finishes at half-time 2-0, 3-0, you're not batting an eyelid, really, are you?
I think that would have been deserved in terms of the chances created. Vicario had to make some really good saves. Again, it was mostly out wide, Savinho and Doku, who were both creating the chances. But look, we know Man City are a great team, regardless of maybe not being as good as last year. We know since the signings in January, they've much improved from their form in December. The defeats of late have been to very good teams at Madrid and Liverpool, and obviously they've beaten the likes of Newcastle heavily recently. They're definitely turning their form around and are much better. You look at their bench as well; they've got the likes of De Bruyne, Foden, Grealish, got unbelievable bench as well. But I think going into this game, I just expected, especially in the first half, really Tottenham to go 100 miles an hour, really go at Man City and take them to the sword. And I think maybe Man City were ready for it, and they came with a plan to just make sure every time they get the ball, they go direct to those wide areas and get Doku and Savinho on the ball as much as possible. And it was working for them. I think we did probably suffer a bit from a bit of naivety in the first half. And no surprise, really, as we said, it's the second youngest, I think, team we've fielded in the Premier League era. A lot of young players on the pitch. So I think us having to kind of figure out how to get advantage in this game is not a massive surprise. But I thought we would have a bit more in that first half in terms of when we on the ball, just really going at Man City, getting in behind them and causing them problems. And we weren't able to do it at all. Man City shackled us really comfortably. The only shot we had on target was a Danso header, which would have been a miracle to go in from there. It was at the edge of the box. And I think, out wide, they were causing us so many issues. But they do have two of the best dribblers in the league, so it's not a real surprise. But I think, which is before the game, I said that's one area definitely I'm worried about out wide if they're playing Doku and Savinho. That's one area I'm going to be a bit worried about, and that's the main area they were hurting us with. But we just had a bit lucky that Savinho and Haaland didn't quite have their shooting boots on, and also the goal they did score, they did have a big slice of luck, because that the cross from Doku took a massive deflection, which just fell really kindly into Haaland's path. But what's very frustrating is, again, you watch it back and there's about 5 defenders in the box, and Haaland's just free to slip it into the back of the net. Like, again, it's not, people accuse us of being too open and things like that, but when it's not about being too open, it's about men picking up the players in the box. I just don't understand why Danso's ball watching. I know we had a great game and we're going to praise him, but he was ball watching for the goal. Bentancur ball watching, and Haaland's just in there to steal in and slide it home, and it's so frustrating because he was the only one in the box with 5 defenders in there. So I don't understand how we allow that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that frustrates me more to a certain extent. I mean, there's one thing if you're kind of got a set tactic and you're a bit open because of that tactic, but if you've actually got players back and they're not picking up their men, that's worse for me.
I mean, it's frustrating, 100%. Worse in what sense do you mean?
Just more frustrating, basically, because I think if you get caught up, you can identify the problem. But if you're not picking up your men, that's just pure laziness.
Yeah, I think people got drawn to the ball. I think it's a case of, as well, when the attacks they had, Man City, as I say, were very quick turnovers and very direct. So they're going very quickly. So it leads to a bit of chaos in the back line because they're catching us in an unsettled moment. They're getting in on our box. And I think a lot of the time the players are so focused on the ball, they're not concentrating on picking up their men. It's happened more than once, to be honest, that kind of thing.
More than twice as well.
I think so. I think that's something that clearly we need to deal with, because way too often we get caught in these moments. The defence is unsettled and unorganised, and it leads to players being free in the box when they shouldn't be, and that's what caused the goal, to be honest. And but they did have a big slice of luck, because Doku's pass was massive deflection, I think, off Gray, and fell just perfectly into the path of Haaland, which obviously he got the goal with. So that was a bit annoying. But Man City could say, well, the other ones weren't luck. They were good passes, and Man City probably should have been at least 2 or 3 up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it was no luck that they went in at half-time in the lead. It was probably luck for us that they didn't go into the lead with more of a commanding lead going into that second half. And at half-time, I was sitting there and I was thinking, look, well, the only thing that we're doing really to try and hurt them is long balls over the top that weren't really working. Tell couldn't really get on the ball when he did. It was like sloppy touches. Our front three just looked really lightweight as a whole. But at half-time, I was calling for changes. I thought Spencer was going to come on for Pedro Porro. I did think Pedro Porro was really poor in the first half. And then in the second half, I think he turned it around quite a bit, Pedro, where he was getting on the ball, he was being dangerous, he was putting quality crosses into the box. And you just saw Spurs just take it up a notch, and you saw Spurs actually be a bit more aggressive and, you know, command the ball and demand the ball and actually hurt this Man City team, which basically we didn't do for the whole of the first half.
Yeah, I think it was a complete 180, and I agree with the Porro thing. I thought he was going to be subbed because he was struggling, but I actually thought he was excellent in that second half. I thought he was probably our best player in that second half, to be honest. I thought he was really, really good. And I thought, I think what the big difference was in that second half, we were building up a lot better. We were running off the ball a lot more, especially when we were in possession. I felt like we were standing around a bit too much in that first half when we had the ball, and it led to, when we receive it, we're kind of on our heels. Man City looked a lot sharper and forcing that turnover. And on this occasion, I think the running was a lot better. We were forcing Man City to move around the pitch a lot, causing openings. And it led to us getting in all sorts of really good positions out wide. And all of a sudden, we were able to attack them. We were able to get crosses in the box, cause them problems. And I think it's even before the subs, we were doing really, really well. And we were consistently putting Man City under pressure. I don't remember too many opportunities Man City even had in that second half. I know they got the goal right at the end. Apart from that, which obviously was ruled out. Apart from that, I don't remember too many opportunities Man City had in that second half of any note, and especially when we're 1-0 down and we're forced to, you know, come out and really go at them. You expect that we're going to be leaving even more spaces and Man City were going to catch on the counter, but actually they weren't able to do it, and we were really aggressive. That high line was really, really something that Man City weren't able to break, and I thought Gray and Danso were a big part of that in that second half. Every long ball, they were making sure that Man City weren't allowing them basically to get it on the ground and create an attack from it. They were winning it, or at least making sure they're winning the second ball if Man City won it, and that allowed Tottenham to sustain the pressure. And I thought we started the second half really well. Odobell was really coming into it, I felt. Started to really beat Nunez a couple of times. Tell, I guess, still struggled, but Bergvall I thought was really starting to purr as well in that second half.
I thought Bergvall showed really good signs in the first half as well, in a poor game. But it's a common theme now with Bergvall that I've actually been noticing in the last couple of games, where he just grows and grows and goes throughout the game. I mean, he is such a talent, man.
I think he's got incredible engine, and I think his engine is what keeps him going, and that's why in that second half bit when other players are waning, he kind of thrives.
The way he can just like glide past players and like do pirouettes past players at the age of what, 19 he is now, doing that against the Man City midfield, who are, you know, really dominant in the first half, is, I mean, I think it's unbelievable what I'm seeing from Lucas Bergvall week in, week out at the moment.
I agree. And I think he's getting better and better. I thought he was phenomenal at points yesterday, and against a really good Man City midfield as well. Experienced, strong as well. He was able to compete and glide past players like they weren't even there again, and set Tottenham up on attacks. And I think the guy is 19, and I just feel like he's got so many unbelievable qualities. You can just see it on the pitch, and I think he's really doing an amazing job for the team. But you just can see, the more he plays, the better he gets. He's going to become a proper top player, and I think he's going to be a player that everyone's going to be looking at thinking, I wish we had him, because he can do anything. He really can. I think he's still, even in the moments I'm seeing now, he's still a bit raw, and he's still like some decisions he's still making off the ball, especially like picking up runners and stuff. He's still got to refine that, but that comes with experience. Once he's like a more tactically aware kind of player, and he's kind of refined that aspect of his game, there's going to be no stopping him. There really is.
A hell of a player, 100%. And you look at the top performances he's had for Spurs, right? Just look at the one against Liverpool in the first leg of the Carabao Cup, and then this one yesterday against like the two best teams pretty much in the Premier League, and when he's only just come from the Swedish league last summer. I mean, it's unbelievable to him to put in this kind of level of performance against this kind of opposition so early on in his Spurs career.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and he's a staple in the team now. He's got to be starting every. I think you've got to play him every game in terms of first choice, because I think he's really earned that in the way he's playing. Until his form drops, he's got to be our first choice central midfielder, because I don't think we have a profile like him who was that good on the ball, the way he carries it and the way he passes it forward. And as well, he's not a liability off it. He's got unbelievable stamina, unbelievable strength, and he puts the tackles in. I think he's phenomenal, and I'm enjoying him. He's one of those players as well. You just really enjoy watching play. 100%. You just love. He's just a joy to watch, and that's what he's the kind of players we love football for, and that you pay your money for, because he's just it's a beautiful sight.
I don't know about you, but I felt like when Spurs brought on the changes, it kind of killed the momentum a little bit, because I felt like we were really on top. And then Man City kind of came a little bit back into it once we made those changes.
I don't think it's when we made the changes; it's when they did.
Yeah, potentially.
That's when I felt the momentum stopped a bit. Up until I would say,
there were 5 minutes break, 5 minutes between them.
Yeah. So I said I was at the game yesterday, obviously, and I said to Dad when we were on top of them for those first 15, 20 minutes, that half. And obviously we made changes as well. And we were really, I thought, we kind of had them on the ropes a bit, and we were really pummeling them. I thought we should have put away at least one of those chances that we made. And we made the subs, and I thought we still had them. But I said to them, we need to score before they make changes, because Pep's a smart manager. As soon as they start making a couple of changes, that's them fixing the problem a bit and fixing the tactical issues he saw. And we had the chances to score before they made those changes, but then they brought on Foden, they brought on Bernardo, they brought on that bit of energy which they were definitely lacking in that second half. And all of a sudden, I wouldn't say they regained control, but they just got a bit of a foothold in the game, and they didn't really create anything, but they just stemmed the tide. They stopped us from really just getting in on them time after time. And that was, really frustrating. But I would say that will only happen for about a 10, 15 minute period. And then for the last, I would say going into the last 10 minutes,
we started to create... Their changes came on with 15 minutes to go.
So I would say, when did Son miss that chance? I think after Son had that chance, we had a few other moments thereafter. So maybe the last 5 minutes, we kind of started to really push again. And obviously Edison made that save from Son, and then we had the chance right at the end from Sarr, which was very frustrating. But we had so many moments in that half. Obviously, the chances, we can talk about Odebear's chance to the far post with a brilliant cross from Porro. You had various opportunities from corners with Bentancur and Danso, where they had headers. You had Udogie winning the ball high up the pitch, playing it to Tell, and he should have scored, or Udogie should have been doing a lot better. You had Brennan playing it into Decky, which was an unbelievable opportunity, but Decky miscontrolled it. You had Brennan's chance, which he laid on a plate for Son, which should have probably had a better effort with in that moment as well. There was many obviously Sarr's moment at the end. Sarr as well had another moment before where I think it was Spence pulls it back for him, and he just takes a wild swing at it. That was a really good opportunity as well. And it actually nearly went out for a corner, or nearly went near the corner flag, and that was a really good chance. Obviously, my point being, we had lots of chances, and we had a lot of chances on top of those chances where we didn't even get a shot off where we should have, where we was a right pass, and it's another really good opportunity. So that was really, really frustrating that we just didn't get the pass right. We weren't ruthless like we were maybe against Ipswich, which obviously I know is a different kettle of fish, but we were just ruthless in that game with a lot less chances. This one we had a few more chances, and we just kept mishitting it or not getting the chance right or the pass right. So frustrating. I think the second half performance at least deserved the goal, I would say, and I think we come away with that from that game just frustrated that we didn't get anything out of it.
Yes, to a certain extent I agree, but I mean, when you're looking at, I think, the balance of play from the first half and the second half, the game as a whole, Man City did create the more presentable chances. They created the more clear-cut chances in the game, and I felt like when you take the whole game and look at it objectively, I do think Man City probably just about edged it.
Yeah, I don't think we could complain about Man City winning. I just think it's frustrating that we didn't get anything out of it, considering how we pushed them in the second half. And we were dominant. Man City had very little. I know we had very little in the first half. I would say Man City were better in the first half than we were in the second half. I think that's fair to say. But, we are still a young team. And my point being, when you're under the pressure like we were against a good team like Man City, to regain control with that second half like we did, and actually get in a situation where we really got them on the ropes and we're creating loads of chances, and we should be putting them away, especially with the team we had out there. And obviously we hadn't made changes, but I still think that was a positive. And I think a goal would have been reward for that in terms of how the game went, but we didn't get it. And as well, as you say, that first half, City could have been out of sight if their finishing was better as well. So that's something that we got to learn from and try and understand why, again, that happened and how we can stop that happening down the line. Obviously, we're not going to be playing teams as good as Man City every week, but they obviously really ripped us apart in that first half on the wing. So we got to figure out, but I think we can definitely take a lot of positives out of that second half because it was a very young team. I know we made changes and obviously up the age of the team and the quality probably, but it was still overall we're still a quite a young team. We're still getting players back from injuries and things like that, and I think you can see the team just getting better. And I think that second half was evidence of that. And I think we definitely looked a lot more like an Ange team that second half, and probably a lot more like an Ange team even in some of the wins we've had recently. I think that second half was better than a lot of those performances. So I think we take a lot of encouragement in that. But it's another defeat, and that's the reality.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with that second half display. I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't, but the reality is, if the game can be gone by you by half time, I mean, it's just, I think we were just lucky in a sense to still be in the game at half time. And yes, we were, and yes, we grew, and yes, we showed some good traits, but I still look at that and being like, yeah, it's probably not good enough.
I disagree. I think the second half we showed enough for me to say that we're really starting to get better, in my opinion. And I was really encouraged by that second half. Yeah, the first half wasn't good enough. We are playing a good team, and I know we expect better. And I thought anyway, we could really come flying out of the traps and go for them. But we did play. We changed the side. We did play a very, very young team on the day. As I said, second youngest we've ever played. So it's no surprise that Man City got the advantage on that point with that bit more experience, a bit more know-how, getting very direct on our back line, and we struggled to deal with them at times. And yeah, Vicario had to keep us in the game. He did make some really good saves, don't get me wrong, but they missed those chances. And I think there were good chances. We were lucky to be still in the game at half time, but I've seen that happen a few times in Man City this season. It's not the first time I've seen them miss a lot of chances in the first half, and then second half it's a different story. And I think the way we regain control, it could have been easy for us in that second half with the way the first half was going to lose that game 2 and 3-0. Going second half, but we didn't. We turned it around, and we actually, not only did we get a foothold in the game, we gained control, I should say, of the game.
You say that in Man City, this is a common theme for Man City to miss all these chances in the first half and then kind of lose control in the second half. And so was that a Man City doing a Man City, or was that Spurs actually growing into the game?
You still got to do your job. Like, they've only done it really against good teams, really, who are able to do it. You have to do your job as well, which is turn it around and gain control. They've also missed chances and gone on to win games 3-0. Like, my point being, you have to still be a good team to do that to them. And I think I don't think a bad team can do what we did to Man City in that second half, which was really restrict them to very, very little and create a number of opportunities and physically dominate them, especially with a very young team that we had. And I think I was really encouraged by that second half. I know we didn't take anything from the game, and I thought before the game there was a good chance we could have, and I was really disappointed we didn't score any goals. But I think I'm looking at the context of the game, the context of the team we were playing in Man City, who are still a very good team. Whatever anyone want to say about them, they're still in the top 4, and they still, with their new signings, they've been a lot better. Yes, it wasn't good enough to get the result, and yes, it's very frustrating. But there was what I would say is, if we play like that second half more often than not, we're going to win a lot of games, I think, from now to the end of the season. And especially if we can play like that in the Europa League, I think we'll be okay. I think we're going to do well. So I was very encouraged by that second half. But is when it's the 14th defeat of the season. Understand that people aren't going to see the positives and they're only going to see the loss, and they're going to say it's not good enough and all these kind of things. And I understand that, and that's fair enough. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just going to say that I was encouraged by that in terms of how we've been playing for a while over the last 2 months, and to see that kind of level of performance was really encouraging again.
Another player who kind of frustrated me again yesterday was Brennan Johnson. I don't think he had, in the first half he was pretty much non-existent. In the second half, finally he took on his man. And he got the better of him, and we created a chance out of it. Only Decky to kind of miscontrol it at the time. But this is what happens when Brennan tries to take on his man. It's too often, like I said about Odegaard in the first half, where he just kept checking inside, passing it sideways, passing it backwards. Brennan was pretty much doing that the whole game. I mean, what does it take for these guys, Odegaard and Johnson, to consistently just go and take on your man, have that confidence to do that?
I think they need to be winning their individual duels. You have to kind of earn that right to take him on and get into that space. I don't think he was getting into those spaces in the first half. He was getting bullied, and he wasn't getting into the spaces where he can just attack the space and take on his man. More often than not, Vicario was stepping in front of him, winning the ball ahead of him. He wasn't kind of competing for those duels at all. And that was really frustrating. He was anonymous. Look, he wasn't the only one. I think the whole front three were really struggling to impact the game in that first half. But Brennan, no doubt he was as well. I thought first half he was better, to be honest. I have to give him a bit of credit, because I thought he was at the centre of a few chances that we created. There was one for Decky, there was one for Son. I think he was also involved in the move that led to Sarr missing that chance near the end as well. He also, I think, was involved in the move that Odegaard missed that chance early on. So I thought he was really starting to get involved in the game a lot more in that second half. Not to say he was amazing, but he was much better than he was in the first half and much more involved in the game. And in fact, it was more of his assisting work, which he's maybe neglected a bit too much this season, which I thought was much improved in that second half. And I thought it was probably the right decision to keep him on, because I thought he was influencing him a bit more. But first half, he was very frustrating. He wasn't good at all. And yeah, when he's in that kind of mood, like he was in that first half, he's hard to watch, because he's just a bit anonymous. It's like doesn't want to show for the ball. When he gets on the ball, he gives it away too often, and he seems lack of confidence. But in that second half, there are moments where he was going more direct and was using his attributes, and I thought we saw a much better Brennan.
Spence, I thought, came on, did a really good job again straight away. He was looking to drive the team forward, great in those kind of tight spaces again. And I thought Pape Matar actually showed a lot more in when he came on than he has done probably over the last month whenever he's been on the pitch. But it's all going to come down to that chance, last kick of the game pretty much, where you got to put that away.
Yeah. I thought the subs did make a good impact, and I thought they brought that energy, which, again, it's no surprise. You have a squad to choose from. As soon as we can make changes on just after the hour mark, you can maintain that intensity, and that was kind of what we were able to do. I thought Sarr was really good off the bench. He was able to really compete in that centre, and I thought he was getting around the pitch really, really well. And I thought Spence just, again, added to what Udogie was doing. I thought Udogie's having a pretty decent game in that second half, and then Spence comes on, and I think he just adds to that as well. And I thought he looked really confident. It was so weird, though, in the game. Like, it was really evidence of Spence's change of status at the club, because it was very quiet on the day yesterday. I have to say the atmosphere was quite quiet, but as soon as Spence took his shirt off and was coming off the bench, all of a sudden the crowd lit up, and it was like Bale was coming on or something. It was like
he was born to play for Spurs.
It was like it's crazy the level, the change in status that Spence has. Like, he got the biggest cheer of all when his name was read out to come off the bench, and I think that is kind of evidence that people absolutely have fallen in love with Jed Spence and the form he's been on, and we like a good comeback story at Tottenham. And I think Spence is definitely emblematic of that. And I think he had a really good cameo again. I thought he was getting to the byline. He was linking up well with Sonny at times down that left-hand side, and another solid performance from him.
Yeah, I mean, two players that I think have caught the hearts of the Spurs fans right now. Spence is one of them, and the other one is Kevin Danso. Kevin Danso is really playing his way into being a fan favourite right now. His aggressive nature on the pitch, his dominance in the air. I love him. And I love the way he just strides up the pitch and how hard he is in the challenge. There was one challenge he made that was just fantastic as well, when a Man City player was bearing down in the box and he just slides in and takes the ball off him. He did get caught out a few times by with his aggressive runs down the centre of the park, but this guy is just endearing himself into the Spurs fan base, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and he's so brave. He's fearless, which you need to play in an Ange system, and I think he does some really great things, which definitely catches the eye of a lot of the fans. The way he is so strong in the challenge. He made one brilliant challenge right at the end of the game. I think it was on Foden.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right at the end, near the end of the game. Brilliant challenge. Which those kind of things stick out to a lot of players' minds. I thought actually in the first half there were times he was a bit out of position, a bit too high up, and he was caught following Mamouche all the way into the Man City half, and he didn't really care how deep Mamouche went. He would go and follow him, and I thought Man City maybe planned for that, and I think we could see them kind of taking advantage of it a bit. And I also thought for the only goal, he was caught on his heels a bit. He's caught ball watching because he's not marking anyone in the box, and Haaland is able to get completely free. But you can just see the fit he is for this system compared to the likes of Dragoshin who've been playing beforehand. In terms of he's so aggressive, he's so brave. If there's a ball there to be won, he'll go for it. If it means kind of stepping out of defence and breaking into space, he'll do it. He kind of embraces the chaos that sometimes Ange Ball causes, and I think that really helps him, and it helps us that we have someone like that, because I think someone like Dragoshin, when he sees something on the pitch to kind of like either a player out of position which he needs to track or a bit of space in the middle of the park which he needs to fill, he'll just hesitate a bit more because he's always kind of defence first and safety first. And I think on the other side, Danso won't hesitate. He'll go for it. He'll go for those things a lot more. And I think you need to have that kind of mentality to get the best out of this kind of system, because you need players who are just going to be brave like that. And the system is higher risk, higher reward. So the players have to be the same, if you know what I mean. You have to commit that risk if you're going to make the system work. And that's exactly what Danso does. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah, back on the Spence thing for a second. I am slightly concerned. I'm not overly concerned about it just yet, but we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. But Ange did make those comments a few weeks ago saying that Spence is going to be really important for us until Udogie comes back. And, they both started yesterday. Spence obviously played really well when he came on, and I really hope this doesn't mean Spence just drops to the bench now.
Well, he's going to have to be rested at some point.
No, I mean on a consistent basis.
I don't see why it would. He came on. He came off the bench and played well. He started last time against Ipswich as well on the right. He seems to be. I think Ange can tell he's our form fullback at the moment. So I don't see why I'd be concerned about that at the moment.
Just because of the comments he's made in the past and maybe the way he's treated Spence in the past. But I think that. Well, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks and the coming months.
But what would not make you concerned if he didn't play Udogie at all? You know what I mean?
If he didn't play Udogie at all? No. I mean, I just feel like Spence should be one of the first names on the team sheet right now, and I just hope he continues to kind of use him in that way. And I'm not saying I'm disappointed that he got a rest yesterday, but I'm not disappointed with the lineup that Ange chose, but I just hope that he doesn't revert into just playing Porro and Udogie every game.
I'm just saying, you saying I'm slightly concerned. What would not make you concerned if Spence didn't get a rest at all? Would that make you not concerned at all?
No, like I said, I'm not really concerned about the starting lineup. I'm just concerned that moving forward he might persist with Porro and Udogie.
Okay, but I'm saying what of his actions has made you feel that way?
Because of the comments he made a few weeks ago.
What comments?
He said that Spence is going to be very important for us until Udogie comes back.
Well, that's true.
But he should be important for us even after Udogie comes back. Why does
because he's going to have to because Udogie has been a very good left back for us as well, so they're going to have to rotate when he comes back. And obviously rotate with Porro as well. But that's absolutely right. He's trying to say that Spence is going to have to play every game until Udogie comes back.
Mm-hmm. And I just hope he persists with him, because we've seen how he favours obviously Udogie and Porro over Spence throughout the whole season, and he's overplayed these guys into, Porro to be overplayed and Udogie into injury. So I just hope that he does keep persisting with Spence being the number one fullback.
If Spence deserves it, he will, I think.
Yeah, and he does deserve it.
For now, he does, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not massively over-concerned about it. It's just a slight concern. So I'm not going to beat him down or anything. It's just something worth mentioning.
Yeah, but it's like... But there's nothing... Since Udogie's come back, he's obviously going to get some minutes, isn't he? So, there's nothing he can do to not make you concerned, essentially, at this point.
Well, unless, let's say Thursday comes around and Spence doesn't start, then that's a clear indication to me.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that not fair?
No, that's fair. If Spence, I think he will start on Thursday.
I'm bloody hoping he does, because he has to start on Thursday. He has to. But if he doesn't, then I think that is a massive concern, and that is maybe as to where Ange actually sees Spence.
I think he will start on Thursday.
Yeah, I hope so. But, let's talk about that goal then that never was with Erling Haaland, because, we watched it about a million times here in the studio with all these different angles, and some angles looked like it was, some angles looked like it wasn't. I was actually unaware until this morning until you told me saying on the on-field decision was to be ruled out. What was it like from, I guess you couldn't really tell in the stands yesterday.
We didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. It was a bit nonsense that there was a 5-minute VAR check for a goal right at the end of the game when, he could have blown up very quickly after, but it was kind of very frustrating. You saw Ange, I don't know if you saw the vlog, but I was kind of zooming in on Ange throughout the whole check, and he was getting so annoyed that he was like, just chuck this whole thing away. He kept throwing his hands like that. He was like, we know how much Ange hates VAR, and I think it was definitely something that he was frustrated on. In terms of the goal being ruled out, I've watched it back. Obviously, I didn't see it until later when I watched the match of the day. I watched it back. I would say understand why the referees didn't give it, because I think it's, again, if the on-field decision gives it, I think the goal stands. But because the referee didn't give it, you just can't quite. It's because of the subjective nature of handball. If I've got it on camera, it can touch here, but it can't touch down there. Now the ball touched right in the middle here. So did some of the ball touch this area of the arm, or was it all on this area? It was kind of unclear on the camera which area. So I think from that point of view, the referee couldn't disallow it. Couldn't allow the ball once the goal's been allowed. So I think it's more to do with the handball rule. But if I was Haaland, I'd be very aggrieved with that decision for sure. 100%.
And if Porro, if Sarr goes up the other end and actually puts that in the back of the net a minute later, Man City would be absolutely fuming with that. But, it did end up 1-0, so it didn't really have much of a significant part to play.
Could have had, because straight on, as soon as that happened, we had that chance from Sarr.
That's what I just said.
So I'm saying, but it could have had a massive part to play.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
I said that. I said.
I thought you said it didn't have a significant part to play.
I said it didn't in the end because Sarr put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, but I'm saying it could have. They would have been fuming if that goes in.
Yeah. So look, at the end of the day, it's a 1-0 win for Man City. I did think Man City on the balance of play probably just about edged it out. Spurs, did show some stuff in the second half, maybe something to be a bit positive about moving forward, and I'm happy that some of the players are rested in terms of going away to AZ Alkmaar next week, which is the big game that we need to look forward to. But with the lineup yesterday, it surely shows that Ange is prioritising this Europa League now.
I think it shows that, but I think it's more that we've got a squad back and he's using the squad, and I think we've got to do that. And I don't think.
Do you think he should have maybe rung these changes, or maybe half these changes against Ipswich and then another half against Man City?
It just depends who's ready and who's not. You know what I mean? These are people like Brennan, Udogie. I don't know how.
Two of them did start against Ipswich.
Two of them did start against Ipswich, but it was Odegaard ready to start against Ipswich. I maybe he needed that little bit of game time before he was ready to start. I don't know who else was changed. I'm trying to remember now.
That was it, really.
obviously Decky. Who came in for Decky?
Well, Porro started. Porro didn't
Madison.
start.
Madison, kind of. Maybe we're going to see Decky play central a bit more. I hope that's why he's maybe he's going to rotate with Madders. Maybe they'll play together. No, I don't have a problem with it. I think we had to win that Ipswich game. It was an important game as well to win, and I don't see what changes for this game. I don't know. I think what changes are we accusing him of for not that he should have done against Ipswich that he didn't do in this game that we think are maybe ready?
Maybe to put Decky on the bench.
To put Decky on the bench and play who?
Well, Decky played in the middle, didn't he? So you could have maybe played a midfield three of Bentancur, Bergvall and Sarr or something like that, and had Bergvall as the most attacking player.
When? In which game?
Ipswich.
And play Decky and Madders in this one?
And maybe drop Madders, keep Madders on the bench. I don't know.
We'll play
many options.
But he decided to play Decky on Saturday and Madders in this one. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's a problem. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think there's a problem. No.
Are you starting to be concerned a bit by Tell?
Well, I'm not happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not great at the moment, I have to say. He's struggling. I think he's very much struggling with the lack of time he gets on the ball, his lack of hold-up play at the moment. Moves seem to break down when it gets to him. His finishing in front of goal, he seems to be snapping at things. I do think it's more to do with lack of game time in the season as a whole, adjusting to a new league. It's a bit of a catch-22 we got with Tell because he needs the game time to kind of get up to speed, build some fitness and everything, and as well, to get into his rhythm of the game. He needs that game time and adjust to the league and adjust to the team. But, Solanke's coming back soon. Richarlison's not even far away. You could even say Scarlett deserves minutes. So how can we balance out? How can we balance out giving Tell the game time he needs to get up to speed, but also him earning that spot in the team? It's a catch-22 at the moment.
Yeah,
because if we don't give him that time,
you've got to persist with him in the Premier League because the Premier League pretty much means nothing from now to the end of the season. So you've got to give him the most minutes we can in the Premier League, whether it be up front or even from the left wing, and see if he can kind of build up any sort of form until the end of the season. Because you saw the likes of Bergvall when he first came into the team, it was nowhere near showing the kind of application and skill set that he's showing right now. So he needs game time as a young player coming into a new league. I feel like he's got a lot of potential Till, but he just looks physically kind of lightweight, where Bergvall never really felt like he was like physically lightweight.
I would say, you look at that Galatasaray game, you'd probably say Bergvall was lightweight. But I don't think Tell's actually that lightweight. I actually think he's stronger than you think he is. And I've seen him in the Bundesliga really compete with centre-backs and score really good headers. And I think he's physically... I'm not saying he's any Solanke, don't get me wrong, but or even a Richarlison, but I don't think he's weak. I think he can compete. I think it just comes with experience and time. I think... no, he hasn't shown it yet. I think he's looked out of sorts. There are times I remember, like Richarlison, when he's out of form and he's also recovering from injuries or building his fitness up, he can also look weak, and then all of a sudden, once he's at his top of his game, he looks a lot stronger. I think Tell's in that period at the moment where he's basically he's played 3 games for Bayern so far this whole season. I think he's played very little, and he's probably played more for Tottenham already than he's played the whole season for Bayern. So he's also adjusting to a new league where he's playing probably more physical centre-backs with less space, and he's playing with his back to goal a bit. I think it probably would benefit him if he was playing in a way which he was facing the goal rather than with his back to goal. I think that's kind of hampering him, and he has to kind of adjust to that. But at the moment, he's struggling. At the moment, there's no doubt about it. He is struggling. I can't deny that. And it's no surprise. The only good moment we saw from him against Villa when he scored was, he's running in behind and he's got the game in front of him. When he's got his back to goal and defenders are like that in his back, and he's kind of having to shove them off and protect the ball. He's really struggling to do that. And I thought again was rightfully taken off.
Yeah. It is a bit frustrating because I thought he was going to come in and hit the ground running. But obviously it's not the case, and it's a big question now. What do we do in Alkmaar? Do we persist with him? Or do we bring in like a Dane? Do we put Decky in the false nine? What do we do?
I think we're probably going to persist with Tell. Yeah, I think persist with him because I think just give him more time. I think Europa League, a good opportunity for him against a team from Holland to gain some kind of confidence. Depends, I guess, if Solanke's ready. If Solanke's ready, I think you just got to put Dom in because it's an important game. But I think Tell, I would still persist with him. I would.
I reckon if Dom was playing yesterday, I reckon we probably get a goal in that second. I think we were missing him so much yesterday.
I think, both boxes was what really hurt us.
Yeah.
I think if you add Romero, Van der Ven, and Solanke, that's just such a different game.
Forget even Romero and Van der Ven, right? Just Solanke. I think it would have impacted our attack so much more. I thought we would have, probably created a few more chances in that first half as well because he provides so much for us. Not even just in the box, but in the build-up phase of the game. He drops deep, he wins the ball back consistently, he drives us forward.
He just makes it stick, which sustains attacks.
I was saying it consistently last night, like we're just missing a Solanke desperately.
Yeah, agreed. Which I think would have made a lot of difference. I completely agree with that.
All right, well, that is it. That is our match review from the 1-0 loss against Manchester City last night. Let's move on and let's go to our player ratings, and we're going to start off with Big Vic. 7s all round for Vicario. Again, a really good performance. Made a number of saves throughout the game, and in the second half he was rarely tested, wasn't he? Did he even make a save in that second half? I don't even know. But first half I thought he was vital to us. But I think the majority of the saves he made were kind of saves you probably expect him to make.
Yes, but they were from close range. So he's got, you got to have quick reactions, and you've got to make sure you're getting down to him. To be fair. Yeah, the first one from Haaland was straight at him, good save. But then he made a really good one from Haaland just after where it looked like he was going to slot it, and Vicario does make the other save. I think the other ones were probably they missed the target, didn't they? So I think he did well in that first half. And also there was one moment where I think Haaland was looking like he was bullying Gray. He was about to get beyond him, and Vicario rushes out and gets that diving, kind of dives onto the ball to make sure that Haaland doesn't get into the box. I thought that was a really good piece of goalkeeping as well. I think he just brings that assuredness to the back line, which is really helpful. And I think a pretty solid display. But second half he wasn't involved in the game much.
Yeah, could have taken his sleeping bag out and had a bit of a kip in the second half. Pedro Porro up next. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I was really frustrated with his first half display. I thought he was getting beaten time and time again. Doku was having a field day out on that left-hand side for Man City. But in the second half, it all changed for Porro. And, I was one here on the watch-along calling for him to come off, get Jed Spence on. But, credit for Porro for dusting himself down and going again, because I thought our attacking outlet on that right-hand side, the consistent crosses he was putting in, and the general attacking phases of the game, I thought he was contributing to really well.
Yeah, I thought Porro was excellent in that second half, actually. First half, he did really struggle. I don't think it was actually mainly his struggle. I thought it was mainly a team struggle to allow Doku that time and space from those direct attacks. And I thought we kind of left Porro a lot in those one-on-one situations, whereas, you saw Liverpool when they played against Man City, Doku had the beating of Trent many, many times, but Liverpool as a team dealt with it. I think that's what you got to do when you got someone like Doku. You just got to get players over there, and you got to make sure he's not. You got to double up on him, and we weren't doing that enough. So I don't completely blame Porro for that. But there's no doubt about Porro was struggling, and as well, actually, Porro's long passing as well was actually really poor in that first half. He was giving the ball away sloppily. But I thought second half he was absolutely brilliant. And I thought not only was he really good defensively, I thought Doku had very little impact in that second half. I thought he was stopping him and he looked a lot better. But I thought going forward he was phenomenal. I thought his crossing was absolutely on a sixpence. He created so many chances. He created that chance for Odegaard. He created that chance right at the end for Sarr as well. I thought he was brilliant in that second half. I thought he was actually probably our best player, and I thought his corners were really good as well, the way he was ripping it in. So I thought it was a shame in that second half he was on the losing team, but he did struggle in the first half, no getting away from it.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that with the emergence of Spence, why not have Spence at right back and Porro at right wing?
Right wing,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it would work. I don't know if he has the pace to play right wing in our system. Like when he's in those one-on-one situations, is he going to be able to get away from the opposition fullback and get a cross in?
You mean like Brennan Johnson does? Brennan doesn't really do that.
Yeah, but Brennan's different. He does sometimes, but obviously his role's a bit different. And I thought he did well in the second half, Brennan. We'll get into him. But Porro, he gets the space because he's playing a right back. I think people need to realise that. He played when it's like asking Trent to play right wing. Like you wouldn't do that. Because he wouldn't get the space at right wing, which he does when he's playing at the back. That's why he makes the use of his unbelievable ability on the ball to get crosses in and create chances, because the opposition defence is so occupied with the Liverpool front line that Trent gets that space, or whether out wide or whether in the middle. That's the same with Porro. If you put Porro right wing, he's going to be nullified. He won't be able to do what he's doing. I saw Brian compare him to Beckham yesterday. Trust me, if Beckham was playing in the Premier League in 2025, he would be a right back. I'm telling you, he wouldn't be a winger, because that's how the modern game has gone. Wingers need to have that movement and pace. You know, how many wingers do you see at the moment who don't have really good amount of pace in the league? Very few. If you don't have that, you need to have like good upper body strength like Decky to hold people off and use that tool. I think Porro, I don't know if he would work as a right winger.
Interesting. I mean, I like to see it given a go. You might be right. It might not work, but I mean, with the emergence of Spence, I think it could be an opportunity to try it out at least. But look, you might be right at the end of the day. But let's move on to Kevin Danso. 7s all round for Danso. I'm loving this guy. I think he's so aggressive. The way he just charges up the pitch. There was, in the first few minutes of the game, Spurs are on the attack, right? Danso plays it in. I can't remember who it was. I think it might be James Madison. And then you just see Danso just charging up. He was like the furthest player forward. And I was like, shit, is that Danso? What's he doing over there? I'm like, wow. But I love Kevin Danso. And I think, he needs to be doing better for the goal that we conceded. And there's a few other opportunities where he loses his man because he's just so high up the pitch and he's so aggressive on. But I feel like the amount of tackles and blocks that he puts in is just invaluable to us. And when Romero's out, he's such a good player to have, because he's the only one that can provide that kind of aggressive front foot defending, because, he's the only one that we got.
Agreed, and I was really happy with his overall performance. What I would say, though, he didn't cover himself much glory with the goal that we conceded. Kind of caught ball watching. Let's be honest, we've criticised Romero heavily for similar things this season, and if that was Romero yesterday, I think he's probably getting a lot of criticism, whereas Danso, we're kind of giving him a pass, maybe because he's a new signing. But I thought overall, though, really good performance, so aggressive. I love his fearlessness to go into the opposition kind of half. His fearlessness, his bravery, to carry the ball into Man City's half when he sees the space. When Tottenham are pressing hard the pitch, he knows where he needs to be in terms of on the halfway line, making sure that the striker's not able to hold up the ball. I think he's just his aggressive nature. I think he embraces the chaos of what Ange Ball can bring, and I think he thrives in it. And I think it was another really good performance yesterday.
Archie Gray up next, 7s all round. I mean, I'm loving this guy as well, Archie. He's so cool, calm, and composed on the ball. It's so unbelievable for a player of his age in at centre back. I mean, we say it every week, and the ability that he shows on the ball is just incredible. It really is. His switches of players, like on the money pretty much every time. Calmness of playing out the back as well. I mean, I can't wax lyrical enough about someone like Archie Gray and the shift that he's putting in for Tottenham Hotspur on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I would say early on again, he was struggling a bit to deal with Haaland. I thought Haaland was actually targeting him. There was that one moment.
We said it would be a physical mismatch.
Yeah, and it was. And I thought at times anyway, not totally, but there was that one moment where they played a ball through. Haaland was running onto it, and Gray was trying to basically hold him off, and he just couldn't. And Haaland was about to break into the box for a 1-on-1, but Vicario kind of bailed him out with a really good charge out of his area. And that kind of stopped it from happening. But that threatened to be something really dangerous for a lot of the game. But actually, Gray, again, really... I think actually two things happened. I think Gray grew into the game, and there's actually Danso and Gray, I noticed, swapped. And Danso all of a sudden was the one on Haaland. And I think that really helped us. And I think what was really impressive from Gray is just him on the ball, man. Unbelievable. So composed, always picks the right decision. There was one moment as well.
I thought you were going to break out into that Man United fan that started crying.
He's just so good. The way he makes those tackles. There was that one moment where he's under pressure on the edge of his own area. He's got Haaland pressing him. And instead of hoofing it safety first, he just dribbles his way around Haaland and breaks into the space. And he just has that ability to do that. I think obviously his time in midfield, him being a midfielder anyway, probably helps him with that aspect. But I thought his passing was getting better and better as the game wore on. I thought in the first half, some of his passing was a bit erratic, especially in the long passing. But as the game wore on, it became better, more composed, more accurate. And I thought in the second half, he was brilliant. The way he just nullified that City attack was absolutely fantastic. And I thought he did a great job, really good job in the end, because it threatened to be a game where he really struggled in. But in the end, he actually thrived, so fair play to him.
And I think, I agree with what you say. Credit to Ange for swapping over the defenders because it needed to happen. Destiny Udogie up next, 6 around for Destiny. I was happy with the defensive side of his game. I thought he was winning his duels aggressively. The amount of tackles he put in as well was brilliant. I just wanted him to impact the play going forward a bit more, and maybe that'll come. I thought against Ipswich he was definitely doing that, getting in behind and causing all sorts of problems, but he just couldn't find that space in this game.
Yeah, I thought second half again was really starting to get into it and play well. I thought first half Savinho was troubling him a bit. I thought he dealt with it better than Porro did, but there was a few too many times Savinho was getting in down that side, and luckily for Udogie, a couple of Savinho shots were kind of blocked and out for a corner rather than on target. But he had that chance where he hit it over the bar, and you can see Udogie is just floundering behind him for that moment. So he struggled to kind of defend that moment. But I thought in the second half he was again growing in influence. Savinho was becoming less of a threat. He was the one making the running, and he found that opportunity. I think did he tackle Nunes?
When he won the ball, yeah.
He won the ball
that
hard
had to
the
be a
pitch.
goal, man.
Had to. I don't know. He could have shot. He decided to pass to Tell, which isn't the worst option, but I don't think it was the best pass, was it? I haven't seen it back actually because it wasn't in any of the highlights packages, but that seemed like a really good opening. And I think the pass was probably just a bit behind Tell.
Yeah, it was.
And it allowed the defender to get back, which was a really disappointing moment for him. And I think he got taken off just after that moment as well. But I think, again, there was some green shoots there from Udogie, and I think he did some good things, but wasn't his best display.
Yeah. Rodrigo Bentancur up next, 7s all round, and I thought in the first half he was probably our best player. Definitely before he got that booking in the first half, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt like that booking did hamper him a little bit, but before he got that booking, I thought he was really good. He was combative in the middle of the park. He was trying to drive us forward, but the midfield was getting overrun a little bit. But I think Bentancur was really standing up for the team, and I felt the amount of duels that he was winning was really good and so calm and composed on the ball. But I did feel that yellow card hampered him a little bit.
Definitely, and I actually thought it was a really good game from Bentancur, especially being in 6. Where against a team like Man City, you would think he would have struggled a bit more, but I actually thought he played really well. Made a lot more duels than he usually does, covered a lot more ground, and maybe off the back of the talks of a new contract, hopefully that makes him give him the confidence to play a bit better than he has in recent weeks, that's for sure. But I thought he had a really good game, but he did get that booking. Actually, there was that one moment in the second half where Man City on a counter, and Doku's taking on Bentancur, and he breezed past him, and Bentancur kind of tries to take him down, and Doku stays up and carries on the counter. And luckily for Bentancur, Doku didn't go down, because I thought if he went down, that's an immediate second yellow, and he would have been off. So he did get a bit of luck there, but I think then he went off for did he go off, didn't he, for Sarr?
Bentancur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sarr played this. Bergvall moved to the 6, and Sarr played the 8.
Bergvall, yeah.
Yeah. So we did all right even when that happened. But I thought Bentancur by and large had a really strong performance.
and his midfield partner in Lucas Bergvall up next. 7s all round for Bergvall, and yeah, I thought he put in a really good display as well. Look, it wasn't without mistakes. I think he did lose the ball needlessly a couple of times, but what he did do is just show so much kind of his forward thinking just blows my mind sometimes, with such a young player in this team in the Premier League, first season in the Premier League, the way he can just glide past players, drive the team forward. He presents so many openings and so many opportunities with his just forward thinking, and his aggressive nature as well. I mean, it's a joy to behold, to watch, and I can watch this guy all day long, and he's going to be a star for us. Yeah,
for sure. And he's growing and growing every game. He's now starting to put in consistent performances even against some of the best teams in the Premier League. I think he's just a star in the making, and I think in this game, again, it wasn't his best game, but I just thought the level of performance he can show against this level of opposition is so encouraging. And I thought in the second half especially, they really struggled to deal with his ability to drive into the space, to glide past players, to kind of, he's past you before you even know it. And I thought some of his play is absolutely phenomenal, and I think his passing is really, really strong. He likes to get the ball forward, always looks to see how he can get the ball forward, but it's more his ability to carry the ball forward and glide past players, which is brilliant. I thought what's his name, Gonzalez and Kovacic, they struggled to deal with him at times, and in that second half, and that's a credit to him.
Yeah. James Maddison up next, 6s all round for Madders. A bit of a strange game from Madders because, you know, with him being with the attacking midfielder, in the most attacking midfielder on the pitch, you know, you expected a bit more from him going forward, and I don't think he made too much of an impact in that phase. But what he did do, he was very aggressive in the middle of the park. He was in and amongst it a lot, winning a lot of duels, but he just couldn't really make an impact going forward.
Yeah, I think some of his passing, especially in the second half, there was moments where Andy was actually getting really angry at him because he was rushing it for no reason and playing some really inaccurate passes when we were in good positions and in good moments. I actually thought in the first half he was one of our better players because I thought the ball would come into him and he would kind of shimmy past the player and break into the space, and then I thought he would then pass it to one of the forward players and the move would break down, and I felt bad for him at that point because he was doing a lot of good work which was not getting utilised because the front three were just completely getting bullied. But then the second half I thought he was a lot better as well. I thought his passes into the forward line were all of a sudden creating attacks and creating opportunities, and I thought he was actually really involved in the game. I thought his set pieces were pretty good as well. They were creating moments of quality, and I thought we were unlucky, he was unlucky probably not to have make use of some of them, but I thought in the latter stage of the game before he got taken off, he was waning in influence, and I actually thought some of his passing was really wasteful and really poor, so probably rightfully taken off, but I didn't think it was a bad game from him.
Brennan Johnson up next. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought he was pretty much anonymous in the first half. Didn't really have too much of an impact. Second half, you know, he was getting in and amongst it. He actually decided to take on his man for once and got the better of him, and Kulusevski should have done better in that moment. But yeah, he was involved in a number of good moves that we had going forward in the second half. But yeah, I still want to see him make more of an impact.
Yeah, I thought first half, like the whole team, he struggled badly. He was really, really poor, to be honest, in terms of not showing for the ball, being anonymous, being weak as well, not competing with Gvardiol. But I think that did change in the second half. He was all of a sudden getting beyond him. He was taking a few people on. He did create chances. He created one for Son. He created a chance for Deki. He was involved in the move late in the game, which led to Sarr missing a chance as well. So he definitely was starting to get to that byline a lot more and starting to create opportunities for his teammates. Didn't really see him too much in a goal-scoring capacity, I would say. In this game, he kind of couldn't really find him in those positions at the back post, which we know he's really known for. But I did see a lot better performance from Brennan in the second half than I did the first half, but wasn't really enough in the end.
Matisse Tell, Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 3. Unfortunately, little, next to nothing in terms of impact from him. I felt like he was shepherded out the game, couldn't find much space. When he did get on the ball, I thought it was loose touches and yeah, there was just not much to go on from Tell. I think he touched the ball the least amount of times out of anyone on the pitch yesterday, and yeah, he pretty much had little, next to no impact.
Yeah, it was a tough day for him. I think Diaz and I think Kuzanov wasn't it, centre back. dealt with him pretty comfortably. Every time the ball came to him, it seemed to break down. He seems to want too many touches on the ball. He doesn't seem to want to get rid of it quickly and lay it off for a teammate. He seems to kind of want to get it under control and try and turn. And more often than not, it leads to Spurs losing the ball and it breaking down. Also, when balls are coming into the box and the area, he's not really looking like getting on the end of any of them at the moment. So he's struggling at the moment. I think it's an adjustment period. I think he's not played a lot this season. It's also a new league. He's also still 19. So there's all those factors coming into it. But I think at the end of the day, you just got to call it as it is. And he is struggling. He is struggling to impact games. And he's struggling to play the role that we're asking him to do. He started the first game as a left winger against Liverpool. Everyone said, "Oh, he's got to play up front." We've now moved him up front, and now people are saying he might have to move back out on the wing again. So I think that's probably emblematic on his struggles. Maybe we got to give him a go on the right. Maybe kind of taking him back to a bit of basics, just getting him running at fullbacks again on his strong foot. Just get him to breathe that confidence again. But right now, he can't seem to get a flow and that rhythm. But that takes time sometimes to develop. And but the reality is, we've got players coming back now, like Solanke potentially. So it's kind of, how do we manage that situation? It's a difficult one to manage for Ange.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, if he does get his rhythm and what Spurs do at the end of the year, because 60 million is a hell of a big of an outlay, and Tell just hasn't really shown much yet.
And as well, like in a couple games time, you can have Solanke, Richarlison back. You're going to have Odegaard fully fit and flying. Sonny there, Brennan's obviously back and scoring goals. So all of a sudden you're like, where is he going to fit in?
Yeah. And it's like they couldn't make it work for him at Bayern because of all the incredible players ahead of him, and now it kind of like he could have a similar problem here at Spurs.
The only place I do think he probably fits in is potentially battling out with Brennan on that right-hand side. But yeah, it's going to be difficult.
And last but not least, in the starting 11, Wilson Odegaard. 6s all round for Wilson, and I was really excited to see him in the starting lineup, and I was quite frustrated with his first half display. I just felt like, there were a couple of opportunities, more than a couple, where he could have taken on that fullback, and he just way too often was checking inside, playing it backwards, playing it a bit safe, where he should be just attacking the player. And we know that he's got the dribbling ability to take on his man quite consistently. He didn't do that in the first half, but I felt like he was much better at it in the second half, where he was looking a lot more dangerous. He was taking on and beating his man, causing problems for Man City. And I felt like in his best moment, he kind of got taken off. And that's probably because, he hasn't had too much game time, just coming back from an injury. So I can understand it from that aspect. But it was just frustrating, like in his best moment, he gets taken off.
Yeah, and I think it was probably pretty pre-planned again to give him 65 minutes. Again, he's had a long-term injury, so they're trying to be careful with him. But I agree, he was just about, starting to kind of open his legs up a bit and beat Núñez, and I thought he was all of a sudden causing Núñez a lot of trouble. And then he just got taken off, and he started to cut inside. He was having a few shots, he was having a few moments. Whereas beforehand against Núñez in the first half, he was really struggling. I thought Núñez was getting close to him. He wasn't getting that separation, which could allow him to kind of beat his man. Núñez was just bullying him and out-muscling him, and he was trying, to be fair, more than Brennan, because at least he was getting on the ball and trying to do a few things. Like Brennan just seemed to be not wanting any of it. At least Odegaard seemed to want the ball and tried to take people on. And also he had that moment right at the beginning of the game in the first minute where we opened up City and we just for some reason didn't shoot. Brennan or Odegaard had opportunities to shoot and we didn't do it. But then second half, I thought I was quite encouraged by what I was seeing. I thought he was linking up really well with Udogie all of a sudden. He was getting in the box. He was looking really bright. But then obviously he got taken off. But I think really encouraging signs hopefully going forward.
And then the substitutes, we're going to start off with Son Heung-min. 6s all round for Sonny. I said to John on the watch-along, was it the last time he came on in the Premier League and scored a hat-trick against Leicester? Was that the last time he got subbed on in the Premier League?
Nah, surely not. Is that the last time? I think surely he's been under Ange.
On the bench in the Premier League.
I think under Ange he's been on the... You know what? Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure he has been on the bench under Ange.
Anyway, that's a moment that I mentioned. I thought Sonny could have a real impact on the bench. I don't think he was involved too much.
I remember last year when he came back from the Asia Cup, didn't he? He started off the bench and got an assist when he came on.
maybe like there's been a couple of times after that, but that's the one that always sticks in your mind, isn't it? The Leicester one. But anyway, he wasn't involved too much, but when he was involved, it was he was causing Man City big problems. He created a big chance in the game, and he's got to get a better shot off in that moment to grab us back into the game, because it's a really good opportunity for Son.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he'll be frustrated because he should have made better connection with that moment. And I think, unfortunately, it was too close to Ederson. I think Son on top form fires that into the corner. Didn't quite manage to do that. I thought when he was on the left-hand side, didn't really do enough to cause Nunes too many problems. I thought he was and he wasn't doing terribly, but he just wasn't getting into the area, getting those cutbacks, anything like that. I think he was too easily kind of not confident. He was kind of always just passing it backwards or passing it inside, wasn't going at the fullback, so could be doing more there. But I think once he moves up front, he actually was a bit more of a threat, but unfortunately missed the opportunities. He did have also that flick on to Sarr as well right at the end, but off his back. I'm sure he meant it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, unfortunately didn't go in.
Decky up next, 6s all round for Decky. He came on. Obviously, the big moment that we're going to talk about is when Johnson finally took on his man and found Kulusevski in a great area, but Decky just miscontrolled it, unfortunately. But apart from that, I don't remember him getting involved too much. Yeah,
that was a big moment for him. He obviously also, the chance right at the end, he got that flick on, didn't he, to Porro, which allowed us to get up the pitch. Was a good flick on. He came on and started up front, didn't he, for a bit, and then was moved to the centre mid once Werner came on late in the game. I thought, again, there was a few too many times he's competing for duels and getting bullied, to be honest, and which was quite frustrating. But there was also a couple of times where he did make it stick and allow Tottenham to get forward a bit. But again, just frustrating because we're playing the ball into Finn, thinking he's going to, a defender's going to go into him right now and he's going to kind of hold him off, and he doesn't at the moment. He's just not doing it. He's allowing defenders to get the better of him, and that's not the Decker we know, but hopefully this 8-day break with the hour break he had yesterday will help him.
Spence up next, 7s all round for Jed, playing with confidence at the moment, and yesterday was no different. I think he did make an impact when he came on, very aggressive, trying to drive the team up the pitch, and he just looks like a man playing at the top of his game at the moment. He really does, and the fans are falling in love for him, and there's a big reason why. And he needs to be that first choice starting right back or left back, wherever it may be. Yeah, another really good cameo. You could hear the fans how excited they were to see him coming off the bench, because it was a quiet ground yesterday until Spence got his strip off and was ready to come on. It was like we were bringing on a superstar, and that's what Spence is turning into at the moment with his current form. And I thought he came on, looked so confident, getting on the ball, dribbling at players, just no second thought about taking players on. And he's so hard to stop. It seems as though players haven't found a way of stopping him at the moment. I thought it was a really good cameo. Got to the byline a couple of times to create some opportunities as well. I thought he made a really good impact, so fair play to him again. And the last player we're going to rate is Pape Matar Sarr. 7s all round for Pape. And everyone's kind of judging him just on that missed chance right at the end where, of course, he's got to be doing better and he's got to be putting the ball in the back of the net, which was a pivotal moment in the game. However, I did think he came on and just caused a nuisance for himself straight on. He was putting in challenges, winning his duels, and he was pretty much everywhere. He was kind of hard for Man City to get past him. And this is the kind of moments we love to see Sarr in, and he hasn't had this kind of impact for a while in a Spurs shirt. And he was also a goal threat, probably had about 2 chances on the day, should have put away at least one of them. But I like that cameo from Sarr yesterday. Yeah, I think he looked a lot more confident, looked a lot better than he has done in recent games. I thought he was really doing really well to cover for the defence, especially when Doku was looking to break away and some of the other players were looking to get Man City to exploit Tottenham on the counter, and Sarr was just using his running power to make sure that didn't happen, and I thought that was really, really good. But unfortunately, he did miss those 2 opportunities. He had the one right at the end with the header, and he also had one where it was cut back to him in the box, and his shot was really poor, and he sliced it. I think 2 really presentable opportunities he'll be gutted he missed,
But I thought overall it was actually a really good cameo, and again he kind of allowed Tottenham to maintain their intensity.
Yeah. And last but not least, Ange Postecoglou. 6 is all round for Ange. And I felt in the first half, the reason that Man City were creating so much and so dominant was because of maybe the tactics that Ange Postecoglou deploys. I mean, just the freedom of that right hand side that they got was pretty incredible. And yeah, that is a tactical issue. And, you know, fair play to Ange halfway through the first half. He swaps around the centre backs because that made a massive impact, because Haaland and Archie were definitely a mismatch in terms of physicality. Second half, he must have laid into them at half time because it was a much changed Spurs side. And you know, on another day we could be talking about a draw or even a win with the Man City missed chances that they had in the first half. But don't get it twisted, you know, that game should have been out of sight at half time. And I think if it was, you know, Andrew would have probably had a lot to answer for, even though we did lose the game anyway.
Yeah, and I thought in terms of how he managed the game, I think we identified the struggles we were having in that first half, and we did seem to change it, and for the better. And that second half was a lot better. And I thought we obviously going into the game, we did make a few changes, which I think a lot of fans were calling for, and I'm not going to hold against him. I thought it was a good decision to rotate the team and use the squad that you have at your disposal. But the first half was a hard watch, and we were outplayed by a really good team. And we were lucky that we weren't more than a goal down going into half-time. And I think he'll count his lucky stars that Man City had a bit of an off day when it came to their finishing. But credit to the team to gain control in that second half, put City under pressure and create the chances that we did. And at the end of the day, we were unlucky not to score in our own right in that second half. So bit frustrating on his front, in his part, that we ended up with nothing. I thought as well the way he used his subs was quite good in this one, as compared to some other games, but still another loss. So yeah, there's only so much credit we can give him.
Yeah, 14th loss of the season, which is quite incredible. But that is our player ratings from the 1-0 loss against Manchester City, and we'll move on and see what 5 things we did learn from the game. And up first is the tale of the two halves.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we didn't score in either half, but I think in terms of what the stats will show you, it really tells the story of how both halves went. In the first half, we created 0.05 XG from 2 shots. Man City had 7 shots, 4 big chances, and 1.94 expected goals, which pretty much means they would have expected to score at least 2 goals in that half with the level of chances they created. And I think we were extremely lucky to stay in that game at 1-0 going to the first half. The second half, it was a completely different story. Man City only created 0.17 XG, so it was very, very low. Spurs on that hand had 2 big chances and 1.28 XG, so it really did flip in that second half, and Tottenham were the ones on top, and they're the ones who created the chances in that second half, and really unlucky not to score. And we had 61% possession, really dominated, and we were really putting them under pressure. So it's a shame we didn't score, but again, we do have to consider ourselves a bit lucky. We didn't concede. Overall, it was 2 XG to Man City and 1.3 to Spurs, so probably a win for City was a fair result, but it was really a tale of two halves, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I was pleased with what I saw in the second half in comparison to the first half, and we definitely should have put the ball in the back of the net, but the first half very much frustrates me. But credit to the team and credit to Ange for dusting themselves off and mustering up something in that second half where Spurs fans can go home and take something from the game, even in a loss. But yeah, I agree on the balance of play. When you're looking at 2 halves put together, Man City did deserve the win, and that's what they got, 3 points on the day. But you know, it wasn't a complete disaster that maybe some people are painting it out to be. So that was that. And number 2 is Bentancur.
Yeah, and I thought Bentancur overall had a much better game than maybe he's had in previous weeks. And I think the big thing is he's competing a lot more duels in this game, winning a lot more tackles and getting around the pitch more. And I think the stats kind of show it. He competed for 12 ground duels, winning 8. Won 3 of his 4 aerial duels. Obviously had a shot on target as well with one of his headers. Won 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, made a clearance. So I think in previous games, you look at the duels he competes for, it's usually 5 or 6 as opposed to 12. So in this one, he was a lot more combative, a lot more involved in the game, and I thought we saw a lot better Bentancur. And if he's in this kind of form more often than not, then I can see why we're offering him a longer contract.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy Bentancur's performance yesterday. I've obviously been a critic of his over the last month with some of the certain displays he's put in, but this one was head and shoulders above those kind of performances, and we need to see this kind of Bentancur on a consistent basis. He's so calm and measured on the ball as well, and he's able to just calmly play the ball out when he's being pressured. So I really like that kind of those abilities from Bentancur, and on top of that, he's very aggressive. And yeah, he picked up a yellow card yesterday, and that kind of hampered maybe how aggressive he was being. But yeah, you got to give credit where it's due, and I think Bentancur put in a really solid display yesterday. So big up to him. Number 3 is the midfield tussle.
Yeah, and I think that was a big element to the game yesterday, how the teams battled in midfield. And I think in the first half, we were the ones turning the ball over way too much in midfield, and it was causing a lot of direct attacks for Man City, which led to Doku being a lot more space and all these different things. But in the second half, it really switched. And what's interesting is if you look at the stats yesterday, in terms of tackles in the middle third, Spurs made 17 tackles on Man City in that middle third, with the likes of Bergvall making 5, Bentancur 4, Madison 4 as well, and Sarr coming on and making 2, compared to Man City, who only made 9, with 7 of those being Kovacic in the middle third. I think that was the main way we kind of regained control yesterday, was making the amount of tackles in the middle third. Just to put into context how big that number 17 is, Man City, the nearest amount of times they've been tackled in the middle third after that is 11. So that's 6 more than any other times they've been tackled in the middle third. But I think on the flip side, the amount of tackles Man City made in the middle third was 9, which is their second highest tally for the whole season, which goes to show, I think, how they kind of gained control in that first half with how they were turning the ball over. But I think that's how we gained control in the second. So I think there's a lot of things to be positive about how the midfield played in their aggressive nature, but we just got to make sure that first half kind of doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and I felt like maybe, I mean, I don't have the stats for it, but I felt like maybe the player that might have been tackled the most might have been Bergvall, because he was kind of, as much as he was doing great driving forward and gliding past players, he did get tackled a number of times, and that did cause Man City to spring on us a few times. So look, it's going to come with a young player making his way in the game, but yeah, there was a clear emphasis kind of on that midfield battle yesterday from both teams. So that's that. Number 4 is a mixed night for Porro.
Yeah, Porro clearly had his struggles in that first half up against Doku. I think Doku really had him one-on-one and had him on toast on a lot of occasions in that first half, and that was a big source of how we were struggling, I felt, to contain Man City and to contain Jeremy Doku. Again, I think a lot of it was to do with a team failure rather than just a Porro failure. But there's no denying when Porro got into those one-on-one situations, Doku in the first half, he struggled. But in the second half, was much improved and actually put in a really, really good display. And actually, if you look at his attacking numbers compared to his defensive numbers, really encouraging. He had 6 crosses yesterday, 5 of them accurate, and a lot of them really, really dangerous. 4 key passes yesterday as well. So was really at the top of the list when it came to the chances he was creating for the team. Did make 2 tackles, 3 interceptions, but he was dribbled past once, it says here, from Doku. Had a 0.35 expected assist, so was definitely putting in some really good crosses. And I thought yesterday was probably our biggest threat when it came to the ability to create chances. So was really good going forward, especially in that second half, but no getting away that first half. He was really struggling against Doku.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with you. In the second half, he was much improved and he was brilliant, and he was putting it on a plate for our attacking players consistently throughout that half. I just get so frustrated because this is just like a consistent and common theme throughout the whole of the season, is that we just leave Porro out to dry on that right-hand side way too often. And I don't understand why, where you can see this consistently throughout the season and you don't start the game planning for it.
I think they definitely have to plan for it, but I think you look at, let's say, it's very similar to how I see Liverpool with Trent. They recognise he's got defensive deficiencies, but they kind of plan for that. And how many times you see teams attack Liverpool down that side and get advantages there, but Liverpool obviously have better players around, and they got the midfielders cutting it, kind of tracking back and covering for Trent and doubling up on that front. Obviously, you got Konate or Van Dijk on that side as well, which obviously we haven't had the luxury of in recent. Either way, you got a very good defender on that side, which we haven't had the luxury of for a while. I guess Danso was actually it was great on that side before Danso switched, but I think.
But even when Romero's on that side, and we all kind of say Romero's a top level defender, even when Romero's on that side, he's still hung out to dry the majority of times.
I think at the beginning of the season it wasn't that much of an issue. I think it's more been in the last few months where definitely it's been exposed a lot more. And I actually think Porro's better defensively than someone like Trent. I don't think he gets exposed as much as that. But I think it's something we need to plan around. If you're going to use Porro and you're going to use the way we play, you're going to have to make sure that when he gets in those one-on-one positions, you're helping him out and not just leaving him completely, especially against players like Doku, hung out to dry. But I think it's something that's a worry, but again, it's something that even a top team like Liverpool, they also struggle with in terms of getting exposed down that side, but they have a plan for it where even if Trent gets beaten, right, they're not too exposed, whereas I think we suffer too much from being overexposed when Porro gets beaten, so it's something we need to adjust to.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something we need to adjust to. Let's hope that we can ring those changes. But I mean, when we're heavily dominant in the game, it doesn't really matter, but when we come up against these kind of sides, it's just way too evident, in my opinion. Fifth and final takeaway is Project Youth.
Yeah, and yesterday Tottenham started with a very, very young kind of team, 4 teenagers on the pitch yesterday. And our average age of the team yesterday was 23.2, which made it our second youngest ever team to ever appear for Tottenham in the Premier League. I know we did make changes.
When was our youngest team ever?
I think
was it this season as well?
I think it was. I don't know. I actually haven't seen what our youngest team was. But obviously, the likes of Gray 18, Bergvall 19, Tell 19, Odebear is 20. Even Udogie 22, Brennan 23, very, very young team. Our oldest player was Vicario and Madison at 28 years of age. So I think that goes to show how much we are kind of trusting a bit more in the youth at the moment. Even when we have players back and available, we started with 4 teenagers yesterday. So I think part of it was clearly that's probably why we had a bit more struggles maybe dominating from the start, and we had to kind of adjust to how the game played out. But again, playing against a Man City team who are a very good team with one of the youngest teams we've played, I think overall the performance was encouraging, but we did obviously have our struggles. But I think hopefully this is showing again the young team that we do have and the quality that's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking at the teenagers that you're talking about, Archie Gray performed really well last night. Lucas Bergvall performed really well last night. The only one that was probably the only disappointment out of the lot was probably Matisse Tell, who's only been at the club for, let's say, a month or so. And, Wilson Odebear grew into the game as well. So I'm really happy with these young players and the way they're developing and the way they're coming up and the way Ange is kind of using them right now. I feel like it was a very good decision. I was very happy with the decision for them to start because I've been calling for Ange to use his squad and I've been calling for Ange to rest players like Deki and Sonny for so long now. So I can't sit here and criticise it when he actually does just because we lose the game. So, credit to Ange for using the squad, and these players are developing really nicely now, so it's great to see. But that is your fifth and final takeaway, and we're going to finish off the stream on the see how the internet did react to the game. And first up is S_on_HM7 saying this was done to Grealish. What was this all about?
Let's see. What was done to Grealish?
So Sonny's walking out of the tunnel there, and he catches Grealish, and they just give a nice little wave to each other. That's about it.
Oh, I see. Oh, Grealish blew him a kiss. Fantastic.
Next up.
Oh, I think so. It's replying to a video which I think Son's looking over, and he doesn't. I think you can't see in the video who he's looking at. So the reply is, "This is done to Grealish."
Oh, I see. Okay.
So a nice little moment between two players who enjoy a smile. Let's fair to say.
Yeah. Next one again is from a Korean account saying, "My wish is to see Son Heung-min score a goal after receiving a pass from Deok Bay." I think that's Kevin De Bruyne.
De Bruyne.
Can you please play on the same team as me just once?
Is that what De Bruyne is saying? Is De Bruyne joining Spurs in the summer, you reckon?
Maybe. You never know.
Come on.
He's out of contract.
Come on. Sign up De Bruyne. He could do the challenge. Can't he? Come on. He's won enough. Come to Spurs, Kevin. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be playing on the same team unless they both go to Saudi.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Again, more from Sonny and De Bruyne. If you scroll down, the only fun in this game is the friendship between Pielgo and his teammates.
Why are De Bruyne and Sonny so close?
Sonny's close with everyone.
Yeah, true. He's everyone's best mate. It's so true. He loves chatting with everyone. Everyone loves him.
This next one is saying it's fun with Foden. Man City and the Man City players do have a big love for Sonny. You can see it, and even Pep, I think, was hugging Sonny after the game. And this next one is a picture of exactly that. Pep and Sonny after the game.
Pep's still saying thank you for that last season. I still thank you for that.
Again, another one of De Bruyne and Sonny after the game. Another one next of De Bruyne and Sonny hugging.
God, he gets around, doesn't he, Sonny? He gets around. Is anyone he doesn't hug or have a smile and a chat with? Everyone wants a piece of Sonny.
Spurs Express saying Pep Guardiola has described the Spurs squad depth as some of the best he's ever seen.
I mean, there's a lot of glazing from Pep. He does like to glaze a team just after he's beaten them. He usually does.
It's incredible because
it's so hard. It's so good. So good.
We've been complaining about squad depth in terms of the weakness of the squad depth all season, and then Pep just comes and says we've got the best in the Premier League.
Some of the best he's ever seen. I don't know if it's that good. I do think our squad depth is a lot better, obviously, when we have players available. And I think I do think if we hadn't had that injury crisis, when we had players to use from, I think it would be a different situation. I think the whole everyone's been bemoaning our squad depth for the whole season, but I think any team's squad depth is going to be stretched thin when you have 12 injuries. Also do think even with everyone fit, we do have holes in the squad. Obviously with Spence now available and playing well at left back and things like that, maybe those holes aren't as bad as they were maybe at the beginning of the season. But yeah, I think our squad depth is a lot better than people give it credit for, 100%.
Another one here saying, Prince, this is serious right now. Play soccer properly. So this was in the first few minutes of the game, or like 10, 15 minutes in, and Son was looking on, being like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, because they just didn't shoot. There was that one moment, especially the game, where Son definitely would have shot, and they were just like, they were just passing it around without really taking a shot, and Son probably was getting frustrated with that.
Ryan_Spurs saying, 15 minutes after full time tonight, the bar's completely packed, and the Levy lovers out in full force.
I think it's harsh to say they're Levy lovers. Like, I don't like this. Like,
why is it harsh? Why? What if they like Levy?
I never said they don't like Levy, but you're saying if you stay for a beer after the game, you must love Levy.
Yeah, you must.
Why?
Because the people that don't like Levy don't want to spend money in the ground.
No, but people don't think like that. Some people just want to go to the game and with their family or with a friend and have a beer after the game. It doesn't mean they love Levy. It just means they want to have a beer after the game, and that's how they enjoy to choose to. Not everyone is so wrapped up in this like we are. I think that's what people got to get their heads around. We live and breathe it, and we've got this is our life in terms of we wrap our head around like the ownership and everything. Some people just want to go and enjoy the game, and they don't really care about that kind of stuff as much. And it's like, I think when people I just don't like it's almost like they're chastising fans for trying to enjoy
themselves.
Yeah.
Why should you enjoy yourselves after a 1-0 loss? What's there to enjoy?
That's their choice. That's like not every fan, their life revolves around football like us. So I just don't like chastising fans for these kind of things. Like if they want to have a beer, they want to go get something to eat after the game, and the stadium facilitates that, then go for it. I'm not going to criticize you. Like that's your choice. Obviously, if you want to make the choice that the ownership, you want to get the ownership out so bad that you have to hit them where it hurts and it has to be in the money and you have to stop spending money, then that's your personal choice and you can boycott that if you want. But I'm not going to sit here and criticize fans for having the experiences they choose to have at the football.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to disagree with there. It's just funny to see, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Data MB saying top 7 league players expected assists. Son Heung-min on 7.2, who's number 4 on the list.
In Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I know in the league for big chances created, he was like in the top 5, which is mad. Like again, if you have a player like Son, who everyone says, oh, does he fit the system, all this kind of stuff, yet the numbers suggest he very much can do the job.
Yeah, I mean, his chance creation, I mean, he's become such a better creator maybe in this system, but his goal output and his goal scoring positions aren't really being taken up as much.
Yeah, he's only got 6 goals, I think, in the overall, but as a system going up, and he still could get double figures for goals. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. So I think, let's say we sign a winger. Let's say, we think Son needs to go. We sign a winger. Then that winger's also in the top 5 for chance create. That would be similar to what Son is. You know what I mean?
I would like to see him get more goals though, because I think for a player of Son's level, 6 at this stage of the season, he should be on more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next one saying it's so that promising players who exchange uniforms in the Bundesliga are exchanging uniforms in the, I'm guessing, Premier League after most 10 years. So Sonny swapped shirts with De Bruyne in the Bundesliga, and then he swapped shirts last night in the Premier League. That's what they're showing.
I see. So they knew each other from Bundesliga. Makes sense. There you go. Seems to be friends even then.
Yido Gus saying, bro's scanning like he's in the game.
Yeah, 100%. Romero was locked in yesterday. Come on. Who says he only cares about Argentina?
Spurs Web brought out comments from Jeremy Doku saying important 3 points secured and coming back to Manchester. Let's keep pushing Man City. Glory to God always. And Spence just commented saying, we'll meet next time. They know each other from their time at Rennes.
Ah, very good. They were Rennes together. And I'm sure Spence will think, like, if I was on the pitch, I wouldn't have got roasted like that.
Exactly.
Maybe he's probably thinking that.
THFC Football saying we beat an awful United side in Ipswich, and our fans were trying to say we're back, and Ange's going to make a European push. Don't make me laugh. Shit's embarrassing.
No one was saying we're back. It's just,
Some people were.
No, I don't think anyone was saying we're back. I just think it was better.
Some people were.
I didn't see anyone say we were back, but maybe I'm wrong. I just think it was obviously better than what it was before, because we were losing every game and then we won 3 in a row. So it was better. But I don't think anyone was saying we're back. But I thought yesterday was not a bad performance. I know it was not great in the first half, but it was good in the second half.
It was terrible in the first half.
So, look, at the end of the day, it's another defeat, but I can take the positives from that.
Lucas Bergvall commented saying focus is now on Thursday, and after a really good performance from him yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he did himself proud yesterday.
Next one's from Trevor Lloyd saying, I don't get the doom and gloom. The 3 wins in a row allowed us to rotate tonight, to rest some players, got more minutes in the legs of certain players, and a step closer to getting Solanke, Mickey and Romero back. All about that Europa League from here on out.
I think that's fair at the moment. We know the league, getting anywhere in the league is going to be too difficult, I think, at this point. So I think the focus, we all know the focus on Europa League. The Europa League is where it's at, and we just got to make sure we get the job done. That's what we all got to look for, and if we do, it can still be a great season.
Yeah. Johnny Blaine said, also, not scored a second-half home goal in the Premier League since the 6-3 loss to Liverpool. 5 matches, which is our worst run since 2006.
Wow, that's quite a stat. Not scored a second-half goal in the Premier League since Liverpool at home. What was our? Oh yeah, because we beat Man City with a goal in the first half.
Wolves, we scored 2 in the first half.
Wolves 2 in the first half. Yeah, that's something we need to address for sure.
THFC Sport. So we went through that one. The next one is Jay Harris saying Pep Guardiola just playfully slapped Jed Spence in the face and kept pointing to his chest. I think that's his way of complimenting him.
Yeah, he does that. I remember he's done that with a few teams. Do you see what he said after the game? What he said to Spence? He said he told Spence, "Why do you run so much? You need to calm down. Too much running. It's tiring to watch you." He said.
That sounds like me when I'm coming up against someone in Power League.
Yeah, stop running, man. Just stop. Just calm down. So maybe is that Pep tapping up Spence? I hope not. Yeah. He needs a Walker replacement though, doesn't he?
Flembo889 says, if you back Ange, you don't give a fuck about Spurs. Simple as that.
I mean, come on. Come off it. I think you got to chill out. You got to chill out.
Change for Tottenham saying, our club, our voice. Yeah, we saw this banner. Obviously, we've seen it over the past month or so.
Is that Ryan? That's Ryan holding it up, is it?
It is. We saw him. We saw it loud and proud on the TV last night as well.
Yeah, there you go. There you have it. They didn't take it down this time because it was fire safe, as they said. Jay said. So I'm sure this banner ain't going anywhere, and unless we probably win a trophy this season.
Yeah. LJ1882 says 1. Postecoglou has normalised losing home and away. 2. Brain dead selection, not starting Spence, and Moore not in the squad. Oh, Moore wasn't even in the squad yesterday, was he?
Yeah, he wasn't in the squad.
Hell. 3. Not the confidence booster needed before next week's Europa League game. 4. Only positives with Vicario, Danso were both very good as usual. 5. It's been a disastrous Premier League season.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that. It's hard to disagree with. I wouldn't say the only positives of Vicario and Danso, although Vicario has been a very big positive since coming back. Yeah. Disastrous PL season, I think we can all agree on that. Not the confidence booster needed for the Europa League game. I'd say yes, because we lost, but I also think getting more minutes into the likes of Odegaard, Johnson, Udogie, giving them confidence that they can play more minutes in the Premier League. I think the second half performance was really encouraging as well for a lot of the younger players. Also, hopefully, we get some players back for that game potentially. So I don't think the defeat will hit the confidence too much, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if we need confidence to go into a game against RZ Alkmaar, then we've probably got no hopes in this Europa League. I think that second half should give them a bit to go on in the RZ Alkmaar game. And look, the reality is with the quality difference in terms of squad between us and RZ, we should be wiping the floor with them.
If we play like we did in the second half against RZ, yeah, we should win the game. And that'll be that
convincingly.
Yeah, brain dead selection, not starting Spencer Moore. Look, again, I think it's because we didn't start Spence is why we lost. I don't know. Maybe if Spence was started instead of Porro in that first half, we wouldn't have been so open. But also maybe Spence would have been caught out as well. It's hard to say. Obviously, Spence came on and did well. But Spence needed a rest. He played a lot. Moore being in the squad, it's hard to disagree with that. Why was he left out and Werner put in?
And he got on the pitch.
And Werner what?
And he got on the pitch.
And Werner got on the pitch. Yeah.
And did nothing.
In fact, there was that one moment where he got to the left and he put City on a counter-attack. Did you see that moment? I was like, God, that guy's working against us, I swear. Yeah, I'd just leave. I think Werner should not be anywhere near the squad anymore. But it's tough. I understand you've got a senior player there, a German international, and you don't want to disrespect him. But at the end of the day, he's putting in stinkers.
You don't want to disrespect him. He just left about the European squad.
Yeah, but he had to. He had no choice.
I'm so done with all this sentimental bullshit. Don't want to disrespect him. You play who deserves to play, and you put in the squad who deserves to be put in the squad.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Werner should be in the squad. I would rather see more in the squad, 100%. That's something that I agree with. I don't know why he's left out more in the place of Werner. does make sense to me.
Jay says, Tell has a poor game, but let's not forget the oppositions he's faced since being here. Liverpool away, Villa away, Man United at home, Ipswich away, and Man City at home. He's 19, and it's a new league. I ain't judging him yet. And I think that's the right stance to take. However, he did put in a bit of a stinker against Ipswich, who are putting in stinkers every week. I think that's the one outlier in terms of opposition, obviously Manchester United. But I think against Man United, against Villa, I think the performances were better than what we saw against Ipswich and Man City.
Yeah, give him a bit of time. He is still a teenager, so allow him that time to get used to the Premier League. But there's no doubt about it. He has been poor since he's come, but just give him a bit of time. I'm not ready to give up on him yet.
Yeah. Pro Tottenham says, if Son, Kulusevski and Jed had started, I don't think we lose tonight. That's my opinion. Forget talking to me about tiredness. We have over a week until our next game. They had plenty of time to rest until then, and they all could have managed at least 60 minutes tonight from the start. I mean, I don't know if that's entirely true. I don't know. I think Kulusevski has been running on empty, hasn't been impacting games like he has been doing in the first part of the season. Son, I mean, he's on the back of a couple of good performances, Son, but again, he has been overplayed, so I was happy these guys were rested. I think the only one he probably has a case with is probably Jed, because I don't think Son or Kulusevski starting kind of changed the dominance that Man City had in that first half.
And you think Jed does?
Potentially being kind of overrun on that right-hand side, there's a potential for it. I'm not saying it's a definite, but I think the other two don't kind of stem that tide.
Yeah, potentially. Part thing as well, Jed's played a lot, but he has also doesn't seem to be getting any worse. So
Jed just seems fresh though every time he's on the pitch.
Yeah, he seems to be good, but I just think you need to make sure that that freshness continues. I guess.
Yeah,
is the thought. I just look you have Ange overplaying certain players, and then you get people pillaring him, and then you get people like him pillaring him if he decides to rest players. I just think that's just the nature of football when you've got all these opinions. I just don't agree with what he's saying.
I think it's madness to go at Ange. And don't get me wrong, I've gone at Ange so many times this season, but I think it's madness to go at Ange for resting players with the situation that we've been in.
Yeah, I think you need to, and especially with the focus on Europa League, you rest a few players with an 8-day break. Hopefully, we'll be firing when we play them. On
people are acting with this kind of thing, like we rested players against Man City. They're not acting we're in a top 4 race or something.
Yeah, I know the league's done, people. Unfortunately,
Craig Panks says, unless Johnson is tapping the ball home, I don't underestimate that. He offers absolutely fuck all in attack or defence.
I think that's harsh. I think there are games, especially first half yesterday, that was true. But second half, I think he did create a few chances, and I think he offered a bit more than people giving him credit for.
So in the last 180 minutes of football, did he play 90 minutes against Ipswich?
Yeah.
So in the last 180 minutes of football, you'd probably say only 45 minutes of those that he showed something when he's not scoring.
Last 180 minutes, he scored 2 goals.
Yeah, he's saying when he's not scoring.
Oh, I mean, okay, fine, that's fine. But I mean, but then last game he scored 2 goals in the first half. In this game, I thought the second half he did create a few chances. So it's not like he's been terrible. Since he's come back, I think he's offered something, but we want more. I think it's not a bad thing to demand more from him, and we know with his attributes he can do more. I think, and he's still young, but he's still providing something at the moment, and I think that's you can't just discount that. I know it is frustrating when he gives the ball away or when he's not fighting for the ball sometimes, and he's a bit anonymous. I get that, and that's fair enough. You can be frustrated with those moments. I'm frustrated with those moments as well, especially when there are moments when he's running at the fullback. How many times does he run at the fullback and his pass just gets blocked? Like he just can't beat the first man with his pass. Mm-hmm. That's frustrating, but. But I think people just gloss over the good stuff he does too much, I think, sometimes. Yeah,
maybe that's fair. Simon Yemeni says, losing is never fun, but I'm happy Son, Spence and Kulu only played 30 minutes. With Romero, Van de Ven and Solanke back soon, we have a chance to be fully healthy for the first time since November at the most important time in our season. What really matters is right now we move.
Yeah.
What really matters right now, we move. Yes, I mean, right now it's the most important time of our season, but it would have been nice to have them back for the cup games as well when we played Villa and Liverpool, because at that point that was the most important part of our season.
Yeah, but we didn't. What can we do about it? But yeah, this is all. At the end of the day, if I offered you, would you rather in Europa Carabao FA Cup, you would have said Europa. So this is the most important thing.
That's true, but I mean, if we would have had a full squad going into the FA Cup and the League Cup, we could be in 2 or 3 competitions right now.
It's fair enough as well.
Cassandra says, Ange haters moaning again, citing all our losses this season, tweeting, not good enough. We fucking know it's not good enough, for fuck's sake. We had one of the worst injury crises in the modern PL history, and just lost 1-0 to one of the best teams in world football. Expectations need to meet reality. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, maybe not so aggressively, but I think yesterday, I mean, every defeat, they just use these numbers. Look at this defeat and that defeat and that defeat. Look how many defeats we have. And I just think the context needs to be used. But obviously, at the end of the season, we need to look at how we've ended it and all these different things and assess the whole situation. But I just think right now, we need to just look at the context of how we're playing, and with players coming back and we're getting the squad back and we're getting to full fitness, and things do seem to be improving, and there's no need to lose our heads right now when we lost a Premier League game against a good City side. I know it was only 1-0, it was a close game where we played well in the second half. Like, there's no need to lose your head at the moment, but I guess we are 13th, so
we're 13th and we have lost 14 games. Like, why is it wrong for fans to kind of bring up the losses?
It's not wrong. I just think people saying he needs to go now, like, look how many defeats, like, you just need to chill out.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, if you take out the injury crisis, it was still too many losses for the games that we played.
Yeah, but it was also a lot more wins.
All right, well, that is how the internet did react to the game. That is it from us today. I want to thank you all for joining us for this nice 2-hour-long review stream from the 1-0 loss against Man City. We'll be back for more content for you guys tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, Spurs.